Good evening. So I wanted to share a couple news nuggets with you guys. I had about, I don't know, 100 people send me a link to this story. Um, I think even my mom sent me the link to the story. Thank you, everybody. I got it. But anyway, it was, I guess, deep in the woods. Somebody discovered it looked like a giant direwolf head or giant wolf head, 40,000 years old, reportedly, defrosting. And they found other little remains and parts. And I guess it's absolutely huge, way bigger than they ever kind of thought, and it's in relatively good shape. So they could take, you could see it thawing out there and dripping some goo. I'm sure it probably smells lovely after it thaws out. There's a link in the bottom to this story. Yes, long ago there were giant wolves around. In fact, if you go into parts of Alaska and Canada and far north, like Bergman's Rule, there are some huge wolves to this day, and people still report huge wolves. No, I don't think it's a head of a dogman, although this would be pretty close to what I think it would look like if a dogman's head got cut off and froze for 40,000 years. But yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if anything else comes out about this story. It's certainly freaky, and for all the many people who sent this to me, thank you. So another one that I got thrown at me quite a bit, and I actually saw it on my own before anybody recommended it to me, which is pretty rare for me. I'm usually behind the curve on this stuff. Is this creature from Fresno? A lot of people say it looks like Dobby from Harry Potter. I don't really watch Harry Potter. I guess it's a little house elf character thing. And it's this lady's surveillance camera in her driveway, and these are a couple stills from it, and it kind of walks out and it does a little jig. I guess it dances or something. You can see in there. There's also a link to this below in the description. It's I've seen it on Instagram, I've seen it on YouTube, and probably around on Facebook, but I don't go on Facebook. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They got the shadow right. It looks like a real creature, but it does suspiciously look like the movie character from Harry Potter, Dobby. And I don't know. It is a car, somebody's driveway. The shadow looks good. Looks pretty natural. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a scene or this was in the background of one of the Harry Potter movies or something, and they superimposed it, and it's a hoax. I doubt someone's going to go through all the 3D rendering to make this happen, when they can maybe superimpose it from something else. Or if it's a puppet or some kind of scaling thing, I don't know. It's probably a hoax. But it happens to take place in Fresno, and Fresno is the site of all those, what do you call those? Night crawlers. And Fresno and the whole kind of central California area has a lot of high strangeness stuff. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. If it was, there's all sorts of stories of fairies and gnomes and pugwudgies, and we've talked about some of that on this channel. I mean, it could be, but it looks suspiciously like the movie character. Made some videos on this in the past, and every now and then it's good to update and talk about it. But people ask me for podcast recommendations, and I know people can't always watch YouTube videos all day long at work, or they're driving, or whatever. They have a desk job, data entry, or they're painter or something. I used to work in the maintenance field in the long hours. Sometimes it was nice to have a podcast to listen to. So here are some of my recommendations. Sasquatch Chronicles. If you're looking for pure Bigfoot action, 90% of it is encounters. They put out one free show a week, sometimes more. They have a members page, but if you don't want to pay for the membership, you can download it on anywhere that you get podcasts. They also have a YouTube channel. You can watch it there. But nice thing about podcasts is they don't take a lot of data, and you could listen all day long, and there's not really a visual component to it. So yeah, Sasquatch Chronicles been around a long time. I was on the show a long time ago where I shared my encounters. Wes is a good guy. He posts all my videos, and he's been very supportive of me and my channel. But yeah, so Wes, he's kind of the go-to. I know some people don't like him, and you're entitled to your opinion. These are just my recommendations. Another guy, also a friend of Wes, kind of in the paranormal dark web here, is Tony Merkel. He's from the Confessionals podcast. The Confessionals does a lot more than just Bigfoot. They talk about aliens and ghosts, and pretty much they're kind of a general paranormal topic. But Tony Merkel does a good job. He's kind of from the same school of Wes. He talks and asks interesting questions, but he doesn't overrun the show. He does a really good job of letting the guest, whether they're sharing an encounter or it's some kind of researcher or enthusiast sharing his theories. And he's had some big names on there. I was just listening to his podcast today with David Icke on there. And yeah, he's pretty good. Check him out. He's got a lot of different topics. He's one of those things where you could scroll through, find a name or a topic that you want to listen to, and listen to it. I don't get to listen to podcasts as much as I'd like anymore, just because with my daughter and a lot of other things going on. I mean, I get maybe an hour at the gym a couple times a week, and that's about all the time I have. So I really have to be selective on what I watch and listen to. Another one, it's not really a podcast that you can download as a podcast form. It's World Bigfoot Radio with Duke. If you're somewhere where it does have a visual element, but if you aren't paying attention and you're just listening, it's still great too. This is like another good one. I like to put it on while I'm cooking dinner or something like that and really get into it. He has some just spellbinding shows about Sasquatch, giants, Dogman, Gugwees. Duke is just the absolute master. That's Brian Duke Sullivan. He does such a great job. And I was on a show a while back, and he's just a wealth of knowledge. And he just has an air of quality to him. He's an older guy, so he's seen a lot, but he doesn't always inject too much into the story. He's just a really good interviewer, and he has a lot of out there things, and he's really good about bringing other branches of the paranormal, other researchers, whether it be Hollow Earth or aliens or ancient type beliefs, and bringing it into the modern day and how it pertains to Sasquatch and a lot of other cryptozoological creatures. Another one, if you're looking for straight Dogman information, or maybe you had a sighting and you want a lot of info about it and you just want to hear encounters, it's similar to like how Sasquatch Chronicles is like 99% Bigfoot related, where they get off on other topics, and it's mostly just people and their Sasquatch encounters. That's what Dogman Encounters Radio is. It's just people telling their encounters. Vic Cundiff, a lot of people like him, a lot of people don't like him. I like him. I think he's a good guy, and I think he puts on a good show, and I think he has a lot of good guests. Now, when you have a guest show, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't believe this guy, and other times you completely believe people, and that's not really a criticism of the host. They're just giving a platform for people to tell their story. It's kind of like they give you the information and you decide, especially with Wes and with Vic's show. So if you're looking for just straight up Dogman stuff, and I think there's a lot to be learned, more so than so-called experts and researchers and enthusiasts like myself, if you actually just listen to encounters and their behaviors and how people describe them. Also, another really good one, kind of like the Confessionals, where they cover a variety of topics. They cover a lot of Bigfoot stuff and cryptids, but they also talk about aliens and Hollow Earth and Antarctica and some of the more strange out there stuff, and have a big name on there from time to time as Lost River Legends. I've like I said, I think I've been on their show 2 or 3 times now. A couple of good boys from southern Idaho there. Nice, humble guys. They put on a good show. They have some great guests on there. This is, like I said, a pure podcast as well, although I think they have a YouTube channel. Most everybody has a podcast to YouTube, and they put it out in multiple forms, except for me, because I'm lame. But Lost River Legends, they're really good. Good one to listen to. Like I said, with a lot of these podcasts, like the Confessionals and Lost River Legends, pretty much all these guys, if you have a lot of time and you can sit there and listen to every episode, that's great. But it's also kind of cool that you can just sit and kind of pick through them, and this one sounds interesting, or let me try this one. As far as a straight YouTube channel, I don't think they have a podcast. They do a lot of mostly just encounters and stories, and they do some other stuff besides Bigfoot. But I'd say about 80-90% of it is Bigfoot. And these guys have really blown up in the last few months because they just have a real simple, no-nonsense narration style. It's Dixie Cryptid. These guys are great. I'm big fans of their show. They claim to be fans of my show, but I don't see how that's possible. Theirs is so much better. But go check out Dixie Cryptid. They're YouTube only, so if you're in a place with free Wi-Fi now, like when I go to the gym, 24 Hour Fitness has Wi-Fi. So if I play like Brian's show or Duke's show or Dixie Cryptid or one of the other ones that's on an actual YouTube page, I don't feel bad because I'm not wasting my data, versus a normal podcast is a lot easier on data. But if you're on Wi-Fi or whatever, Dixie Cryptid is great. So go check these boys out. They put on a good show. Another good show, if you're looking for mostly cryptozoological type stuff, but they kind of cross the board too into aliens and other things like that, is Into the Fray with Shannon LeGros. longtime Sasquatch Chronicle fans know that she was a first part of the show early on, and she was pretty good. I enjoyed her on Sasquatch Chronicles. But she really came into her own when she started her own show. She's got great guests, great researchers, all that kind of stuff, and she really gets into it. And yeah, she's a pretty good show to check out. I listen to her from time to time, and really enjoy it a lot. So the next show that I listen to from time to time as well is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. I like Jimmy a lot. Some of his shows are a little dry. I think that's, when he puts out so many. He's like 4 or 5 shows a week, and he has for so long that sometimes you run out of guests. You have duplicate guests, and some people find something really fascinating that I don't, and vice versa. So, but he puts out so many shows. Most of them are pretty good. You can kind of pick through them, see which ones you want, and that's kind of what most of these podcasts is. You scroll through and you're like, hey, I know this guy, or hey, that subject sounds interesting, and you end up listening to him. I like Jimmy Church a lot. He's got quite a bit going on out there, and I think he's a guest host on Coast to Coast every now and then too. I think he's like one of their weekend guys. But yeah, Fade to Black's pretty good show. Also, real quick, non-paranormal stuff, I listen to Joe Rogan occasionally too. He's got some pretty big names on there. I think everybody listens to Joe Rogan now and then. And if you're looking for financial stuff, it always gets me in line whenever I want to spend money, is listen to Dave Ramsey, the Dave Ramsey Show. He is no nonsense, cut and dry. His books are great. He'll change your life financially. And that's pretty much what I listen to. There's more shows than this too. There's a couple of YouTube channels. I kind of hop around. Sometimes I don't listen to anything. Sometimes I listen to a lot. Like I said, just my life lately, I've been kind of crunched for time. And if I listen to too many podcasts, you guys would be saying, Matt, you're wasting your time making podcasts and not videos, which is very true. So anyway, stay safe in the woods out there, folks. Give this video a thumbs up because it really helps the channel out in the Google algorithm. And hit the subscribe button. Lots of good stuff coming out. I'm working on a long-awaited Bigfoot versus Dogman video. I've had a lot of requests for it. And I really want to get it right, so I'm taking my time. And thanks, folks.